The twin suns of Virelia cast long shadows across the jagged cliffs where Celera knelt. Her silvery hands trembled as she sifted the loose soil over a small, crude grave. The tiny grave was barely the size of a child's cradle, yet it held the weight of her shattered heart. Around her, the wilderness hummed with strange life. Luminescent flowers pulsed gently in the dusk, and distant howls echoed through the alien forest. But none of it could reach Celera now. Her eyes, usually so fierce and vibrant, were hollow pools of grief. "I will never forget you, my little Leora," she whispered, her voice breaking like fragile glass. She had named the grave herself, marking it with a simple carved stone, an eternal promise to the daughter she believed dead. Beginning, the tragedy and the loss. Celera was a Virelian, one of a proud race known for their strength, resilience, and deep bond with their homeworld. Their cities blended into the natural landscape, thriving in harmony with the vibrant ecosystem. But all that was shattered during the War of the Shattered Realms, a brutal conflict that spread across galaxies. Her daughter, Leora, was only 3 Virelian cycles old, barely a child by any standard, when the enemy raided their settlement. The attackers came with swift, merciless precision, their ships blotting out the sky like dark wounds. In the chaos, Celera was torn from her child's side. The screams, the flames, the terrible silence that followed, the memory haunted her every waking moment. When the fires died and the enemy left, Celera returned to what was left of her home. She searched frantically, calling Leora's name across the scorched earth, but all she found was the tiny grave she had dug herself in despair, surrounded by the ashes of her past. Middle, the secret rescue. But unknown to Celera, Leora had survived. Far from the burning remains of their home, a human named Captain Daniel Hart was piloting a small scout ship across the war-ravaged sector when his sensors picked up a faint distress signal. It was weak, almost lost beneath the static of cosmic storms, but it was there. Curiosity, and something deeper, a sense of duty, drew Daniel closer. He found Leora hiding beneath a collapsed cargo container on a desolate moon surface, her frail form trembling but alive. She was clutching a small pendant, a token from her mother, tarnished and cracked but still gleaming faintly. Daniel didn't speak the language of the Virelians, but he knew enough about loss and survival to understand the gravity of what he found. Gently, he scooped up the child, cradling her as if she were the most precious cargo in the galaxy. He named her Hope in his own tongue, a new life amidst strangers. Daniel was part of a small human exploration fleet stationed at a nearby outpost. The humans had their own battles and scars, but they had also made peace with many alien races, extending aid whenever possible. At the outpost, doctors and scientists examined Leora. She was weak, dehydrated, and traumatized, but her alien physiology was remarkably resilient. Slowly, under the care of human medical teams, she began to heal. Daniel visited her every day, sitting quietly by her side, humming lullabies from his childhood. She responded to the tone, her tiny fingers curling around his in a fragile bond that transcended language and species. The search for a lost mother. Meanwhile, back on Virelia, Celera refused to give up. She joined a resistance group, scouring sector after sector, sending messages across space, hoping against hope that her daughter had survived. Her comrades urged her to move on, to accept the loss and fight for their people's future. But Celera's heart remained anchored to that tiny grave and the faint hope that her daughter was still alive somewhere. An unexpected encounter. Months later, the human outpost received an urgent transmission from a Virelian resistance ship. They had tracked Celera's signal and requested a meeting. Daniel agreed to accompany the emissaries, hoping against hope to find out more about the child he had saved. When Celera arrived at the outpost, her first sight was a small, pale child in Daniel's arms. Leora's eyes, large, luminous, and filled with quiet wonder, locked onto her mother's face. Time seemed to stop. Celera's breath caught. The impossible was real. "Leora," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. The child's small hand reached out, trembling, and Celera took it gently. The bond, stronger than any language or distance, reconnected in an instant, healing old wounds. The reunion was not without its challenges. Leora was afraid, confused by her new life among humans and the vastness of space. Celera struggled to bridge the gap between her pain and her daughter's trauma, while Daniel became a steadfast protector, a human who had saved and nurtured the child in her darkest hour. Together they formed an unlikely family, aliens and human, bound by love and survival. A new hope for two worlds. As peace talks began between the Virelians and the human fleet, Celera and Daniel stood side by side, watching Leora play among the children of both races. The tiny grave, once a symbol of loss and despair, became a memory of hope and the power of unexpected kindness across the stars. Celera no longer wept alone. She had her daughter back, and with her, a future that shone brighter than any twin sun.